Hi everyone, welcome back. As you know by now, we start with this preview. Close to the end of this video, we're gonna see a short visual comparison with this Response Super because they will be in the next episode. But first thing first, we start with this unboxing of the Adidas Response. Be sure you pause the video every time you need. In the shot we can see some of my sizes in other brands, and I can say that these sneakers, they are true to size for me in Adidas running sneakers. I usually have 8 US in Adidas and the same 8 US in Nike, for example. I didn't find anything else in the box. In the shot we can see both sneakers, but we start with the left foot because we want to see if the quality is consistent or not. If you care about cushioning, you should pay attention to this part. In the shot we can see the size of the internal midsole and also the thickness of the insole and the outsole. Even from the beginning, I would like to say that these sneakers, they are something that you should really consider if you are looking for a new pair of running sneakers, affordable one also. In order to be more transparent with you, I would like to leave ratings for different parts of these sneakers. This way you will understand better which one I did like it and which one I didn't like it as much. Personally, I really like this upper. It's nothing too fancy, but it's good enough, it's breathable enough, it's not too thin, and I think it's well made for 75 euros or dollars that they are asking for them. I believe they are $75 because right now I don't see them on the official webpage, so I can't say how is the price in United States. To be fair, it's not very often that I can find a pair of sneakers in Adidas that I really like them, and somehow this is a gem for me because usually they cut corners in many ways, so they end up with a pair of sneakers that I don't like them very much, honestly. But this time somehow they did something well. So about this midsole, it's firm, I have to say that from the beginning, but it is perforated and also it has a good stack, and that means you can still have a good cushioning from these sneakers. In the shot we can see the outsole. I believe is 100% rubber outsole. Okay, so these sneakers, they might not be perfect, but they are still the best that I could find this year in value for money. They might have better cushioning, softer midsole, but they lack safety, and that for me is very important one. But these Adidas Response are safer than this list. And the outsole is very similar with this Duramo Protect that we've seen in the past. I noticed that in the front end they are a bit thinner, but this is how they are, you know. Okay, about these insoles, they are nothing special. They have 4 millimeters. They are a big firm, but at least they have 4 millimeters because I've seen lately quite a bit less than that, because now the trend is 3 millimeters or less in front end and 1 or so under your heel. About the footbed, is firm, the midsole also is firm, but it has some perforations inside. I wish they were having quite a bit more, but still, even this way, it's not as bad as you might imagine. About the padding, I wish it was a bit less, to be fair. They have a bit too much, like it's not needed that much as these ones have, but still, it's not a deal breaker for me. I think they should be a bit more aware about the climate, because we all know that it will be warmer and warmer from now on, so it's not something that we don't know for now. Anyway, let's move on. This is the right foot. I didn't find any problems with the quality issues in these sneakers, at least in this pair. We can see here the attached labels that typical come with all the sneakers from Adidas. I won't spend too much time with them, just pause the video if you need. With these close-up shots, you can tell that they don't have problems with the stitching or the gluing. At least in this pair, everything was okay. Thank God. This upper reminds me of the one from New Balance 1080 version 9. For me, is good enough this way for the price that they have. The Adidas logo is rubberized material. Here once again we can see the outsole. Like I said, I didn't find any problems with both shoes, so I'm okay with them. In this shot we can see both insoles. They are exactly the same, they don't have any logo. We can see here the internal label. They were made in November 2023. In this shot we can see the weight test. For many people it's very important to be as lightweight as they can be. For me it's a bit opposite, I believe, because I care more about being durable, being safe, being better quality instead of being lightweight. But that's me, I am like that. I prefer to force myself and run less number of kilometers, but at least I know that I will have them for a few years if it's possible. In the end, for me it matters the number of kilocalories that you can burn in a run, and also the value for money. I don't plan to break any record nor to finish any marathon. That is the truth. I only care to have them as long as I can, for the money that I paid. My feet are tiny bit wider than these insoles, but I still have room inside enough, so they are true to size for me. So if you have regular width as I have, they will be okay for your feet. If you are wider, look for something else. And next scene is about the size of the insoles and the outsoles. I do this in every video that I make, so you can compare different pairs of sneakers with these ones. In this shot we can see the size of the laces in centimeters and also inches. These laces aren't anything special, but they are better than others, so I do like them the way they are. The elasticity is a bit more than I wish it was, but yeah, they aren't perfect, The cage, as you see in the rating, I like it the way it is. As you can see in the shot, it has some holes, but not enough in my opinion. They could have done much more than they have right now, and that will have been improved the cushioning overall. I wish that tongue it would have been a bit more perforated than it is, on the interior also, but not a huge deal for what they are meant to be. The thickness of this upper I think is correct. The elasticity is not very much, but it's okay this way. In this shot I'm trying to show you how thin is this upper with the flash from my mobile phone. And the thickness I think is more than correct. I like it the way it is actually. Probably the only and the biggest complaint that I have with these sneakers is they have too much padding. They went a bit too far with the padding in them. On the tongue and around the heel, it's just a bit too much. I don't see why they added this much. I like it that this tongue is not flimsy, because it's not, but I wish they were having a bit less padding, you know. In this shot I'm trying to show you how much of that midsole they have, these sneakers. And here I'm checking the rigidity on them. Is good enough, surprisingly. They have more than others, so I like them the way they are. In this scene I'm trying to show you how much of that internal midsole is inside, how much of that foam you have inside. This is what I can call the real midsole. It's not what you see outside, it's what you have inside, basically. For this scene I removed the internal insole because I wanted to find the edge of the footbed. So this is what you are seeing in this moment. And finally we have the on-fit shots with these sneakers. Here you can see my arch, my instep, the shape of my feet. For some of you I know that this is important. By the way, this scene is in real time because I wanted to show you how easy it is to take them in and out. Having them on my feet, I noticed that the tongue, I wish it was a bit wider. For my instep, is a bit too narrow, to be fair. The fit on the arch and also in the toe box is correct for me with regular width fit. In front end of the shoe I still have around 1 inch or so of free space, and that's enough for me to have good comfort with this size. The toe box is not as roomy as others, but for my feet is ideal this way. The room space inside is very similar with the one from Q-Star 2 that we already seen in other episode. So as you can see in the toe box, I still have some space around my toes, but it's not as much as in others. For example, in Galaxy 6 I had a little bit more. I'm not saying that I need more, but those they were having a bit more than these ones, if you care about that. As I already said, these sneakers, maybe it won't blow your mind, but still, with the soft cushioning that they have, because it's not like that. They have some cushioning, it's not very soft, it's firmer, but you can still feel the stack in them, so they still have enough stack to make a difference, you know. Maybe with 20 millimeters under my forefoot would have been a different story, but yeah. My final thoughts on them, I think you should try them, that is my opinion. Give them a try, see how they are. I will end here this video, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't forget to subscribe because that is so important for me. Have a nice day and please take care of you. See you next time.